Mayong gabi, Dabawenyos, magandang gabi Pilipinas at sa lahat ng OFW yung nakatutok sa atin ngayon. Welcome po sa inyong paboritong programa ngayong linggo ng gabi. Ako po si Harvey Lantikse at ito ang Basta Dabawenyo. Pilipinas, welcome sa isa na namang episode ng Basta Dabawenyo. And of course, makakasama pa din natin ang Mayor ng Davao City, Mayor Baste Duterte. Mayor,
Good evening. Good evening.
Mayor, tonight we have another guest joining us this evening for this special episode ng Basta Dabawenyo. Pilipinas, siya po ang ating former press secretary, isa sa mga maisog, Attorney Trixie Cruz Angeles.
Magandang gabi sa inyo lahat. Thank you for having me here.
Welcome back to Davao City, Attorney, and welcome to Basta Dabawenyo.
Maraming salamat at masaya na naman ang kwentuhan to.
Correct. Marami actually, Attorney, ang nag-comment kung kailan po kayo mag-guest. And finally, andito na po si Attorney Trixie and she'll share also some insights on the discussions tonight. Attorney, bago ang lahat, kamusta po kayo? How are you doing today?
Well, I'm fine so far. Hindi pa po nakukulong, pero okay pa.
Mayor, actually, si Attorney Trixie has been... this is your first time, Attorney, no, na makasama si Mayor Baste.
Si Mayor, yes.
Simulan na natin, Attorney and Mayor, no? We have some issues to discuss, lalo na sa national politics natin, no, na nangyayari. And isa na nga dyan, itong pinag-uusapan pa din na enrolled bill at ang GAA 2025.
Yes,
this is actually an update doon sa final nila Attorney Vic Rodriguez together with other lawyers, no, questioning the validity of the GAA 2025. And last week, Attorney Vic Rodriguez posted on his social media account an update of what transpired during the preliminary conference sa Supreme Court.
Yes.
And he pointed out, he shared to us three things. Number one, based on the preliminary discussions, the oral arguments has been set April 1, 2, and 3 this year.
Yes,
and ito yung medyo interesting, ano, because the Supreme Court invited, is now inviting Congressman Stella Kimbo, the chair of the Committee on Appropriations, to the next hearing together with the Senate and House Technical Working Group. So ito yung pinag-usapan, Attorney and Mayor, no? I think, yes, Attorney, sa iyo ko ibabato yung unang tanong. How important ito ngang presence ni Stella Kimbo at yung TWG sa susunod na hearing?
Lalong-lalo na pinapatawag sila after a preliminary conference. Ang preliminary conference, yan po ang nagsiset ng issues. Nakalagay na dyan. Tapos ilalatag nila kung sino yung mga witnesses. And the fact that the Supreme Court ang nagpapatawag sa Technical Working Group and kay Congresswoman Stella Kimbo, who is the head of, appropriations.
Correct.
This indicates that they will inquire into the very heart of the issue here, which is, where is the enrolled bill? Diba, yan ang pinakamalaking misteryo na nangyayari ngayon. Nasaan ang enrolled bill na yan? Ito ba ay nagre-reflect ng mga blanco na lumabas doon sa Bicameral Conference Committee report? So this should be exciting.
Marami nga ang nagsasabi, Attorney, na inaabangan nila yung magiging arguments ni Congressman Stella Kimbo.
Congresswoman Stella will not be allowed to argue.
Okay.
Tatanungin siya on factual matters. Kasi hindi siya counsel.
Okay.
So basically, ang role niya doon is to clarify the factual matters na dinidiscuss dito. The Supreme Court can only decide on matters of law. Pero in order to decide that, at kailangan nilang maliwanagan sa ibang mga issues, tatawagin nila yung mga, parang resource persons / witnesses.
Correct. That's a very good point, Attorney, no? Because I think marami sa ating mga kababayan, lalo na sa social media, kasi nakita nga nila yung oral arguments nung sa PhilHealth. So they were all imagining na baka ganun ang magiging setup, which in this case, hindi. She will be, what you've said, a resource person.
Pagka nag-argue ka kasi, you're an advocate, you will take a stand. Okay. So yung sasabihin mo doon will be pursuant doon sa stand mo. Pero in this case, hindi sila i-allow to be, the questions will not be partisan. It will just be on the factual matters. So, for instance, the dates, where is the enrolled bill? Do you have a copy? Mga ganyan. So, i-expect natin baka magkatanungan tungkol sa Bicameral Conference Committee where I understand she was present.
Correct.
So, yung mga ganyan, this will also be revelatory to many of us. Natutuwa ako kasi yung Supreme Court oral arguments, parang parang it's a spectator sport sa Pilipinas. Ang saya. Which for me is, it's interesting kasi yung mga kababayan natin, interesado sila on how things work. Lalong-lalo na nakikita nila yung process ng legislation. Nakikita din nila kung ano yung role dito ng Korte Suprema pagdating sa pagsettle ng mga issues. Before kasi, madalas dahil nagbablog kami, yung mga katanungan sa amin, kailan ba papasok ang Supreme Court? So, kailangan natin i-explain na ang Korte Suprema, mahistrado yan. Yan ay nagdi-decide ng issues, kaya hindi silang pwedeng mahimasok dyan sa mga controversies until it is brought before them. So ngayon, pag nakikita nila yung ganitong klaseng oral argument, mas nagiging maliwanag yung constitutional mandate ng Korte Suprema.
Correct. Yes, Mayor, would you like to comment?
So she will be represented by somebody, si Stella Kimbo?
Normally, yes. Their counsel is the Solicitor General, who is the counsel for government. Pero dahil separately siya pinatawag, pwede naman siyang i-assist. Pero normally, the court is careful na hindi naman sila magtatanong on matters that might make them defensive. It's really just factual.
And you know what's really interesting here, Mayor and Attorney? For sure, this is not the first time na nagkaroon ng Supreme Court oral argument, in any case.
No.
But this is the only time na alam natin na talagang yung tao invested, inaabangan yung oral arguments. And that says a lot na talagang alam ng tao yung issue at sila also ay naghihintay ng sagot.
Lalong-lalo na kasi taxpayers' money. So, the budget ngayon ay nagiging mahalagang topic for discussion ng ordinaryong mamamayan na nakakaramdam na ng hirap ng buhay. Diba? Mataas ang presyo ng pagkain, tubig, kuryente, kulang ang healthcare, may PhilHealth cases pa tayo, kulang ang trabaho, patay sindi ang internet, nasa na yung mga promised na mga reforms, hindi natin nararamdaman. Plus, as you very well know, rising crime rate. So, a lot of it, maaaring tignan natin kasi na ang bunga nito, posibleng yung budget hindi lang itong 2025 budget ang kini-question sa Korte Suprema, pati yung 2024, bunga ng PhilHealth issue. Ang kini-question doon, yung provision na isiningit doon sa 2025 budget na nagsasabing pwedeng i-review ng mga GOCC at bawasan yung kanilang mga reserves. At yung binawas nila, yun po ang kinukuha ng Treasury. Yun yung sinabi nilang winawalis ni Secretary Ralph Recto. At yan po ang dinatanong sa Korte Suprema kung tama ba yung pagkuha ng pera na yon, lalo na in considering yung state ng healthcare dito sa Pilipinas.
Tama yung sinabi ni Attorney Trixie na kung ang budget is hindi properly allocated, then that would give you a government that cannot properly function well.
So, and ramdam na. So, hindi yung investment natin dito is the fact na bakit ang hirap ng buhay natin. Tapos nakikita mo ang daming pera na pinag-uusapan, nasa trillion, tapos na marami tayong nakikitang pinamimigay na ayuda, hindi siya na-appreciate. Kasi unang-una, hindi naman lahat nakakatanggap. Pangalawa, yung mga ina-allocate na pinamimigay bilang ayuda is money na hindi pumupunta sa infrastructure, sa healthcare, jobs creation, mitigating yung crime rate natin, kuryente, tubig, maraming mga issues na hindi sinasagot. Di ba napansin niyo maraming natenga ng mga proyekto? So, invested tayo kasi halimbawa sa mga trains lang, alam nyo ba na in 2022 tumigil yung PNR?
Talaga ba?
In late 2022 kasi daw ginagawa ang North Rail. Pero imbis na ayusin siya para may mga portions lang na hindi tumatakbo, halos lahat pinatigil at 5 years siyang wala. ang problema, ang trains natin is the cheapest form of mass transportation. 22 pesos lang from Manila to Laguna. So up to Los Baños. So paano ngayon? And in those 5 years, yung mga taong nagre-rely sa cheap transportation na yan will end up paying more than twice that just to get to work kung galing sila sa Laguna. So, hindi nila nararamdaman ang care ng gobyerno. Hindi nila nararamdaman kung ano yung epekto ng supposed actions dito sa pagsususpindi ng infrastructure projects natin. So, natural magtatanong sila tungkol sa budget.
Tama. So, crucial yung sagot nila ngayon kasi gusto nating malaman kung saan napunta yung pera.
Kasi hindi natin nararamdaman, hindi sa atin ginastos eh. Gusto natin malaman, teka, saan yun nilagay? So, dyan talaga nag-uumpisa, dun sa budget, para makita din natin. Kasi meron sila talagang, in 2024, meron silang create na tinatawag na unprogrammed appropriations. Yun yung pinapadeclare na unconstitutional. Pero unprogrammed, pero appropriations. Hindi ba magkasalungat yung dalawang provision, yung dalawang salita na ganon? So, doon nila nilagay yung mga winalis nila galing sa GOCC. Pero the question din is, ano pang nilagay nyo dyan? Kasi halos 800 billion ang pinamigay na ayuda in 2024. Sa 2025 budget, meron silang at least 250 billion. Yun yung alam natin na inallocate. Hindi pa yan kasama yung mga hidden na, ano bang tawag dyan, mga hidden charges, kumbaga, na pinaghuhugutan nila. Alam natin na marami silang ginagastos. Hindi lang sa atin ginagastos.
Pero lahat ba yan, attorney, pag nagsimula na yung oral argument, mare-reveal ba ito kung yung mga katanungan natin? Like for example, about the unprogrammed funds, or
yung sa unprogrammed sa PhilHealth po na so there are two budgetary issues used in two different cases. So yung sa 2025 budget which pertains to the Bicameral Conference Committee report na may mga blanco, yung 2024 yung pagsingit nila ng unprogrammed appropriations in the 2024 budget na ang tawag ng mga petitioners is a rider. Kasi pag gumagawa ka ng batas, one topic only. Yung rider na yon, nag-create siya ng pondo. Nag-create siya, tapos nag-allow siya ng pag-diminish ng reserve funds ng mga GOCCs. That should have been embodied in a separate law. Singit ito, rider, sinakay. And interesting, dun sa oral arguments ng PhilHealth, hindi po masagot ni Solgen Guevara kung rider ba yan o hindi. Ang sinabi lang niya, it's not a rider, pero hindi niya in-explain. So, mahirap naman talaga yung trabaho ni Solgen ngayon.
Gaya nga nung sinasabi mo na beyond politics, this is really a social issue ba? Yun nga, kasi it's yun nga, yung kahirapan, yung presyo ng kuryente, ng pagkain. Every year, since the first time na pinag-usapan to hanggang ngayon, ilang taon nang lumipas, pataas, paakyat ng paakyat, hindi bumababa. Yet in fact, for the taxpayers who've been religiously doing their part and paying their taxes, tama ka doon, no? Parang hindi mo ramdam na ano yung bumabalik talaga sa atin. And they've been boasting all these figures, billions of pesos. So yun nga, nasaan ang pera?
yung administration naman ngayon, wala namang ibang plataforma kundi yung ayuda. Actually. They've been doing caravans, lumilibot, and they're not talking about anything other than ayuda.
Totoo.
Di ba?
Parang ang obsession I think is on 2025 and 2028 elections.
Sigurado.
So, yun nga, ang dami nang nagkokomento na yung ayuda parang legitimized form of vote buying.
Yeah. It's indirect vote buying actually.
Correct. Marami nang issues on elections without the ayuda na dagdagan pa yung iisipin natin. So, no wonder talaga na na to, spectator sport, para nang kulang na lang nag-aano dito yung may cheering squad
Correct.
Pero we know na yung survival natin as a nation, economic survival natin, is hinged on these two cases, two major cases. And it hinges on what we call, ang taxes kasi, di ba, ang tawag sa kanya, the lifeblood of the nation. Yan yung nagpapatakbo eh. Yan yung gasolina natin. Kung yun pa lang, hina-hijack na, hindi aandal to. At yan yung nararamdaman natin. When things break down, when we distrust government institutions, pag walang nangyayari, walang proyekto, tuloy ang traffic, ginugutom ang mga tao, nawala yung 100 million per month ng PGH, masakit yun. At yung natatamaan, lalong-lalo na in the PhilHealth cases, ang unang natatamaan ay the poorest of the poor, yung mga walang boses. They don't even have enough strength na to cry for help dahil ganon kasama ang kalagayan nila. At iyon dapat, any civilized society is judged based on its ability to care for the most helpless members.
And yet, they're taking advantage of it.
Correct.
Diba?
That's it. Yun yung masakit, diba? Na it's parang 2 beses kang tinaga. Na yung dapat inaalagaan mo, minamanipulate nyo pa, pinagsasamantalahan, and wala kang tinitira para sa kanila.
Double whammy.
Yung mga ibang politicians ngayon, especially yung after yung pagpirma nila sa impeachment, they're justifying the ayuda.
Yun nga, di ba? Sakit naman.
Gina-justify nila
parang, uy, kasalanan namin. Parang gano'n. Ginawa naman namin ito para sa inyo. Talaga. Hindi nyo na nga kami binibigyan pagkatapos kasalanan pa namin.
So, wala tong dadating na tulong. Pagka, yun, may
videos
mga congressman talaga.
Parang naging utang na loob pa natin ngayon dahil pumirma sila. Parang ganun yung nangyari.
Kami pasensya na ha. Naantala namin yung pagnanakaw ninyo.
Nakasal namin kayo. Attorney, balikan ko lang yung discussion na.
May gusto lang ako idagdag na yung masaklap doon, di man lang nila inisip kung tama ba yun, if it's good for their constituents or mali, di ba? Kung ano yung implication ng yung ganong klaseng politics sa lugar nila.
In that sense, hindi sila tunay na public servants. Iniisip lang nila political survival nila.
They're not really representing their constituency.
Hindi nga nila naiintindihan na the best public relations is good service. Kitang-kita naman natin. Di ba? The Duterte brand. Yun yung success.
Ayoko magsalita kasi apelyido ko rin.
Kaya ako yung nagsasalita. Wala naman Angeles brand. So, Duterte brand gagamitin natin. So, the Duterte brand is service. So, it's no wonder na merong mga sumusuporta tuloy-tuloy. If you could replicate that kind of service, ganyan na yung usapan. Hindi na usapang ayuda. Ano din yun eh, tama kayo. How does it affect the constituents? You create dependency on the handouts. Mendicancy. Nanlilimos tayo ng sarili nating pera. So, and bakit nila kailangan ng ayuda? Kasi ang sama ng sitwasyon. So, it feeds into itself. Nanakawin mo yung pera, magdi-deteriorate yung lipunan. Dahil nagdi-deteriorate ang lipunan, naghihirap ang mga tao. Dahil naghihirap ang mga tao, tatanggapin nila yung ayuda, and in their desperation, it's like a selling of their vote. And then the cycle repeats itself. Ang ano niyan, gusto nila yan.
So my advice is to voters, pwede nyo tanggapin, tapos hindi naman kailangan na botohin nyo yung tao kung hindi nyo gusto.
Correct. Kaso, merong mga tao kasi na nandun na sila sa state of poverty.
Yun,
na hindi
sobra,
na nila nakikita.
yung sobra nang wala na talaga.
So, ang hashtag, yung mga followers ko, mga sutil eh. Nag-create sila ng hashtag. Salamat sa ayuda, pero Duterte pa rin. Or sabi ko, it can be any person that you are supporting, di ba?
Tama naman yun kahit dito sa Davao. Yung advice ko, hindi naman kung kahit pa siguro manggaling sa amin or sa kung sino man tumatakbo against us, yung bahala, pwede nyo kunin yan kasi pera nyo yan.
Correct.
Hindi kailangan na may pangalan yan or may brand, gano'n. It's taxpayers' money.
Correct.
Yun nga, as what you've said here, Mayor, in past discussions, na itong style na ito na doling out of money is part of the traditional politics na somehow, I think, naalis na natin yun during the time of PRRD. And right now, bumalik na naman tayo doon.
Mga trapo.
Worse pa.
Mga trapo.
Kasi mas naging normalize nila na hanggang dyan lang tayo sa ayuda. Well, anyway, attorney, balikan ko lang yung sa Supreme Court. Ito ding pag-imbita nila sa technical working group ng House of Representatives and ng Senate. And I think attorney, crucial din yung magiging role nila kasi in an interview sabi nga ni Congressman Stella Kimbo that the TWG was authorized to do the edits. So
To do the edits,
the
sinabi niya
corrections,
talaga.
the corrections. So
I think that it would be interesting to see her under oath. Kasi mahirap magsinungaling pag under oath ka na eh.
wala bang contempt doon sa Supreme Court?
Meron, no. Masakit ang contempt ng Supreme Court. Pag abogado, pwede kang ma-dispar, pwede kang ma-suspend and all that. Pagka ordinaryo na you can be found in contempt. It can be arranged, no? Pwede kang ma-fine, pwede kang makulong. And as long as you're contemptuous yung behavior mo, tuloy-tuloy yung kulong.
Yung I think Zaldico dodged a bullet here.
Yeah,
Diba?
I can see that. Oo nga, no?
Kasi wala eh. Kunwari tinanggal siya. I don't know, tinanggal ba talaga or whatever. Basta wala na siya doon. Ngayon, si Stella Kimbo na yung magsasagot din lahat.
Nako. Siya rin yung haharap, si Kong Stella, no? Dapat sana si Saldi yun.
Alam nyo, si Kong Stella has a very illustrious background in the sense that she's a university valedictorian ng UP Diliman.
I heard.
Correct.
She's summa cum laude yan, economics, not an easy course. And but when I met her in Congress, iba rin kasi ang legislative work eh. Iba yung work pag nagtuturo ka, iba yung work na ng legislature.
Actual.
Oo. Plus, pasok mo na yung factor ng politika and tignan natin how you're going to survive in that
Interests.
fund.
Yung mga interests nila.
So, and then si Kong Stella pa yung talagang naging flavor of the year ng
Pero attorney,
nasa social media.
ano kasi yan? Pag, ito lang it could be one na, kunwari, lahat, hindi naman, no one is immune to yung money.
Of course.
Alam mo yun?
Yes,
Pag
we
may pera
understand
na
that,
sa harap mo, hindi naman lahat siguro. Pero it will take a really strong person to, not engage.
Say no.
Para
mahirap
umayaw.
mag-walk away sa gano'n. No?
Mahirap yan. Mahirap.
Pero mahirap rin ma-addict. Sorry for the term. Pero hindi, you get used to it eh.
Yeah.
And then, pag politika ka at may konting tagal ka na doon at pumasok ka sa ganong klase mga transaction, ang nakakatakot yung masanay ka. Tapos pag nasanay ka na, normal na para sa inyo lahat yun. And you will see minsan by the behavior ng ilang mga politiko natin, parang okay lang sa kanila, tapos nalalasing sila with their own power. Nakakalimutan nila na may mandato sila binigayan ng mga botante, pero the way they treat the people, parang nakalimutan nila where it all comes from. So yun yung danger pagka
Hindi ko lang ma-imagine kung paano nakakatulog yung mga tao na ito.
Kasi tingin nila tama eh. Andun na
Hindi,
sila.
convinced sila.
Correct. Convinced na sila.
Sa ginagawa nila.
Parang for the greater good yung iniisip nila. The greater good being their own interests. So, ang hirap na gano'n. And how do you correct that? Yun yung problema. Pag nasanay na yung mga politiko mo na gano'n, sila yung nananalo kasi sila yung may pera. So, the interesting problem is how do we find a solution for that?
To break the cycle.
Correct.
Di ba?
Paano din natin ibebenta yung mga taong alam natin may integridad na sa taong bayan, dapat manalo yung mga ganon.
Tama.
Pero,
Tama.
and that's why social media is a great equalizer. Hindi lang pa nagagamit masyado ng COMELEC yung rules nila para less yung expenses ng election. That's the dream. Dapat sana yung election natin na patas, kaya natin, kahit sino pwede makatakbo, equal ang laban.
You're saying, attorney, I think one of the ingredients siguro how to break that cycle is really to educate.
Educate. Yeah.
Always education. Oo. Yun talaga yung, plus a level of
I think
political
that's a
maturity.
primary responsibility of COMELEC also to let the people know, to educate the people.
Well, not just the COMELEC. I think dapat buong gobyerno yan. Ang kaso, concern sila sa fake news.
Fake news.
Narco and pogo
Pag-uusapan
vloggers.
natin yan maya-maya. So, antabayanan natin ano magiging development nito, and hihintayin din natin yung oral arguments on April 1, 2, and 3. So congratulations, I think congratulations to the petitioners, no, at least may movement. So
Oh, yes.
kudos to Attorney Vic Rodriguez and to
Thank you to our petitioners, particularly those questioning the 2025 budget and the bicameral conference committee report with blanks. Thank you sina Kong Ungab,
Correct.
of course, Attorney Vic, Attorney Delgra. Maraming salamat po sa inyo and everybody who has helped you out. You have brought the issue to the people, and for the first time, nakikita namin na parang may hope eh.
Correct.
Kung kaya meron palang venue pa na kaya nating dalhin yung mga issues ng taong bayan.
Which I never thought would happen.
Talaga?
Akala ko talaga, kasi pag presidente ka, you have almost, parang absolute yung power mo eh.
Totoo naman yan. Totoo
You have
yan.
all the resources, you have the money, you have the influence, you have authority and all.
Correct.
Diba?
I agree. Oo, iba yung pag presidente ka na. May kasabihan pag presidente ka na. So, no matter what agreements you came to with people who fund your campaign, mga kabarkada, kaibigan, mga ganyan, no matter what you say to them before you become president, pag presidente ka na. And with that, your responsibility to the nation, it must take precedence. But at the same time, di ba, ang laki ng capability mo to do something, anything, to do whatever. Saan mo ilalagay yung power na yun? Yan!
Naalala ko lang doon sa sinabi mo, attorney, na yung mga obligasyon mo sa mga kaibigan mo, kasi I think some of the big names in the business industry are saying masaya daw sila ngayon sa panahon ni BBM.
You probably talk to his friends.
Yeah. As compared to the time of PRRD.
Whatever noon kasi stricto.
Ang daming comparisons talaga ngayon nowadays, no? Ang daming comparisons.
Alam mo, it can't be helped eh. They keep bringing it up.
Correct.
Parating
Sila din.
Sila yun. Gusto ko sabihin, well, you started. Kasi, di ba, what does the, hindi siya press secretary, what does the undersecretary constantly say? Kasalanan daw ng previous administration. Okay, you want the discussion to be on that? We'll go further than that.
Ayun nga, tama ka dyan. Tama ka dyan, attorney, na since you mentioned. Ito nga, Mayor, napansin din natin, may bagong undersecretary. I think she's an undersecretary dyan sa PCO. Yusek Pierre Castro. Napabasa kasi namin sa social media, Mayor. And it seems, since nung nagsimula siya mag-assume ng kanyang post, wala, sa lahat ng interview niya, bukang bibig niya ang Duterte. At ikaw particularly, suking-suki. And always siya, parang most of the discussions natin dito sa podcast, Mayor, nagko-comment siya. So maybe she's also watching. Hi, Yusek. Greetings from the house.
Nakikita ko lang talaga.
That's Mayor.
It's a clear manifestation of the Marcos administration's obsession to the name Duterte and Davao City.
Mukha nga
Yan lang. Bigyan ko yan ng isang linggo na hindi niya babanggitin yung Duterte at Davao City. Hindi niya magagawa yan.
Kahit
Sigurado
magpustahan pa.
So, congratulations to Malacanang and President Marcos for your new conspiracy theorist.
Interesting. Unfortunately, a lot of the statements are unsubstantiated or not capable of being substantiated. So,
Naniniwala ako sa iyo, attorney, because you were the former press secretary.
I was the first.
First of this administration.
But just to correct, kasi ang daming nagsasabi, ikaw yung secretary ng PCO. I was never the secretary of the PCO and I was not the spokesman of the president. I was the press secretary and the office was named Office of the Press Secretary. So we were able to conduct all our communications, all our business under the OPS. It was Executive Order number 2. So, but what was interesting is that the press secretary can actually orchestrate that government speaks with one voice. So, and also to approach the problem, malaki yung power ng press secretary to set the tone.
Correct.
Not just of the president's pronouncements, not just Malacanang. You're not speaking, in fact, for the president. You're speaking for government. So may difference. That's why the president, wala siyang spokesperson, siya nagsasalita bilang presidente. Pagka press secretary ka, you speak for the rest of government. That's why it takes a lot of work. So, ang tulog ko noon, basta ang gising ko noon is 2 a.m. Kasi magbabasa ka na ng news. Na after, late na nga yung 2 a.m. Ideally, paglabas na because maglalabas yung mga news by 1 a.m. Diba? So, 2 a.m. nagbabasa na ako noon. And then, the night before, binabasa ko, or usually in the morning, pag hindi ako natapos, lahat ng speeches ni Presidente, transcripts are sent to me right away. Para, pag nagsasalita ka, alam mo kung ano yung sinabi ng Pangulo at kung ano yung mga topics for the day. So before, the press briefings are usually done either at 11 a.m. or 1 p.m. By the time pumasok ka into the press room, naaral mo na lahat. Tapos, if it has to do with other departments, you have to ask the information officers, the undersecretaries, or the secretary himself to face the Malacanang media so that they can answer pressing issues of the day. So it is hard work. You don't wing something like this because you're speaking for the entire government of the Philippines. And it cannot be or should not be used for petty politicking. Kasi government will move Government is a huge machinery. The politics is outside of the government. Although you cannot separate the two, di ba? Talaga, politika naman talaga. The president is a political animal. Kaya pwede siyang pumunta sa mga kampanya. He's allowed by the Constitution to do that. Pero, the rest of government, kay eleksyon yan, kay hindi, kay may politika, kay wala, aandar yan. And you are in charge of communicating yung activities ng buong gobyerno sa taong bayan in such a way so that alam nila kung saan pumupunta ang taxpayers' money nila. Pag hindi mo ginawa yan, they will look for other sources of information. So, wag silang magagalit kung mga vloggers ang nagpupuno ng information gap. Oops, sorry.
Yung punto.
Yun yung ending doon Sorry po.
No, but that's a very good point. If only the communication has been effective or the message has been effectively delivered to the audience, edi sana wala nang nakikinig sa vloggers. Mas nakukuha ng mga tao yung information
Correct.
sa inyo.
I think kaya naghahanap sila ng vloggers kasi it does not the situation does not fit the reality. Yung sinasabi ng
isa pa yan, correct.
Diba? Yung sinasabi ng ng Malacanang hindi nagfi-fit sa reality ng tao talaga. That's why siyempre ako maghahanap ako saan ako
Kakarelate.
magkaka-relate.
Halimbawa, mas mataas daw ang crime rate noon. Pag hindi, di ba?
Sabi niya.
Dapat. ang ano natin dito is, I understand kung statements mo must be couched in political terms. Siyempre, you're there, inadvertently you're also speaking for the Marcos administration. And ayaw mo naman na magmukhang, nagfe-fail yung administrasyon. So naiintindihan ko na you will smooth over certain difficult facts. Pero yung sabihin mo na mas mataas ang crime rate noon, pero nararamdaman ng ordinaryong mamamayan yung mga hold up sa gabi, hindi ka na makalakad ng unmolested at night, then tama nga, nagkakaroon ng tinatawag natin ng information gap.
Thank you, Attorney. Mayor, Attorney, pasadahan lang natin itong latest development din or discussion doon sa related to the impeachment ni Vice President Sara Duterte doon sa kanyang petition sa Supreme Court. Last week, the Senate released a manifestation asserting their sole authority over the impeachment trial. And hence asking to be excused from responding sa petition ni Vice President Sara. So, attorney, legally speaking, is their assertion correct ba? Tama ba na sila talaga ang meron? And how will this affect now the petition of VP Sara?
Of course, ang sinasabi ng Senado ay couched in terms that present their side. Advocacy yan eh. Pero, and they are correct. Ang impeachment trial ay doon solely sa Senado. However, as nakita natin in previous experience, may mga instances na hindi makakatuloy yung proceedings, aakyat kayo sa Korte Suprema to settle issues na kailangan ma-settle muna bago bumalik at ituloy yung trial. Ganyan ang ordinaryong mga hearings sa Regional Trial Court. Pwedeng mangyari yun eh. In the course of the trial, meron kayong suddenly constitutional issue. O kunwari, pwede bang mag-testify itong taong to o hindi? So kung hindi ma-resolve yan or ni-resolve ng judge at hindi masaya yung parties involved, maaari silang umakyat sa mas mataas na hukuman. So, maliwanag din ang ating saligang batas pagdating sa matters ng grave abuse of discretion. May jurisdiction ng Korte Suprema. So, ngayon, mayroon tayong dalawang constitutional provisions na in this particular circumstance ay magkasalungat, at least from the point of view of the Senate. So, ang sinasabi ng Senado, hindi ka man magre-respond kasi jurisdiction namin ito eh, yung buong impeachment at yung question na dinala ni Vice President Inday sa Korte Suprema is a matter for them to decide. Yun ang hindi nila nilalabas. Parang sinasabi nila sa Korte Suprema, hindi kami magre-respond dyan kasi hindi namin kinikilala yung jurisdiction ninyo dito. Kami ang magre-resolba ng problema na yan. I think it's necessary for them to say this because, well, unassailable yung ibang grounds na dinadala ni VP Inday sa Korte Suprema. So instead of making yung petition niya, yung issue dito, ang issue dito, sino ang sasagot doon sa issue na dinala ni VP Inday sa Supreme Court. So, in situations that pit one branch of government against another branch, tapos hindi makausad kasi magkasalungat. Hindi pa naman nangyayari yan dito. Pero ang tingin ko is dinadala ito ni Senate President Chis Escudero very close to what we call a constitutional crisis. So, pwedeng magkasalungat, dalawang branches of government, tapos magkaka-stand still. Pag pinilit nung isa, you are challenging the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court and their power. Ang tanong din is, how will the executive get involved in this? So, nakikita ko that this is parang feeling ko hindi ako makahinga. Kasi
so parang gusto ng Senate ngayon na sila yung sasagot.
Sila yung magde-decide.
Sila yung magde-decide sa
ng mga
petition.
Issues. All issues. Not just the ones that the VP brought there. Parang ang sinasabi nila, Supreme Court, huwag nyo nang pakialaman to kasi kami lang naman sa impeachment. Which, of course, as we know, in previous experience, hindi. So, I think na, yun na nga, medyo, this is a gamble dun sa part ni Senate President.
Kasi siyempre, para saan yung separation of powers natin?
Exactly.
Diba?
Exactly.
It's to check and balance. May judiciary tayo, may legislative and executive.
In fact, in the old, well, not just the old Constitution, dati, meron mga sinasabi ang Supreme Court na hindi sila magde-decide on what we call political questions. Like that. But now, wala na yan eh. They can decide all matters that involve grave abuse of discretion, all cases and controversies brought before them. Nung dinala ni VP Inday doon, and now pinapatanong nila doon sa Senado, meron pinapasagot, pinapakomento sila. At this point, hindi pa nag-acquire ng jurisdiction fully ang Korte Suprema. Hindi pa nila binibigyan ng tinatawag natin na due course. Parang hindi pa nila tinatanggap ng buo yung kaso. Gusto lang nilang liwanagin yung issues, kaya nagpapakomento sila. Pero itong sagot ng Senado, early shot ito eh. Parang sinasabi nila, wag na kayong tumuloy.
Inunahan nila.
Correct.
So, attorney,
Hindi ako makahinga.
oo nga, sasakto ka doon, no? Yung sa yung parang papunta ng crisis sa
Yes.
constitutional crisis. But I'm thinking now, attorney, itong what could happen next ba? So it's either hindi naman siguro ipipilit ni Supreme Court yung Senate, di ba, to really comment. But I think they can proceed with
Yes,
with discussing the petition even without the
Yes,
the Senate's comment.
Kasi it's a matter of jurisdiction eh. Iba naman yung trabaho namin sa inyo.
correct. And in fact, the Supreme Court can say that, okay,
Ayaw
we will
mo.
just proceed
Okay.
without your comment. Parang default sila.
Correct.
Tutuloy, gagawa sila ng decision without bothering to hear from the Senate. Maano lang yung Senado, parang to prevent actually a judgment, kumbaga, of default. Then, parang sinasabi nila, this early on, wala pang due course, na hindi kami magpa-participate dyan because it's a matter of protecting their jurisdiction.
It's really very interesting.
Very, very, tsaka suspenseful.
Oh, thank you for educating us on that matter, attorney. No?
Kaya naman ako
That perspective.
educating.
And okay din yun na maintindihan ng ating mga kababayan kasi nga, especially yung sa punto ko, attorney, marami din talaga nagtatanong na ano ngayon ang mangyayari kung hindi sila magbibigay ng komento? Hindi na ba uusad yung discussion on the petition? Well, now you confirm na
Tuloy pa
the
rin
Supreme
yan,
Court may proceed even without the answer of the Senate. So,
Interesting to know what they're thinking dun sa side ng judiciary, di ba? How are they looking at this? What are you thinking?
parehong lahat matatalino dyan. So,
Oh, yes. Actually,
lahat
Senator
matatalino,
Cheese.
lahat magagaling. So, sino?
Disclaimer lang ha. Well, actually, disclosure, sorry. Senator Cheese was my professor.
Talaga ba?
In UP Law, 4th year sa Land Titles and Deeds.
Ay, batiin mo, attorney, baka nanonood si Senate President.
Ay, sir. It's not my fault.
Yeah, well, also, another thing na talagang antabayanan din natin kung saan pupunta itong discussion na to. No, what's the next step na gagawin ng Senate at ng Supreme Court. And okay, moving on to another, unless may gusto ka pang idagdag, Mayor, on that discussion. All right, moving on to the next discussion. Attorney, dito kami sa inyo. Kasi last week, naging laman na naman kayo ng balita. Pinag-usapan,
Totoo, yan.
pinalakpakan ng mga supporters. Attorney, you together with your fellow social media personalities filed a libel case kay Congressman Ace Barbers.
Yes, we did.
Nasampa na yung kaso. Attorney, whatever you're allowed to share, gusto din namin malaman kung ano ba ang storya nito, attorney, or an overview.
Ano yung sinabi niya na video file
Kung pwede pag-usapan.
case against him?
Well, we can talk about the contents of our complaint affidavit. Well, just simply put, nung pinatawag kami, bago kami pinatawag para sa isang inquiry in aid of legislation, a much abused term, by the way, doon sa Kongreso, may dalawang privilege speech si Congressman Barbers. At nag-identify siya ng mga fake news. Hindi identified. He talked about pogo vloggers and narco vloggers and fake news purveyors. Tapos sinabi na at itong mga privilege speech na ito yung naging basihan, ginawang resolution para makapag-hold ng inquiry in aid of legislation. Tapos kami yung tinawag. Diba? Parang, teka muna. Pero bago nangyari yung pagpapatawag sa amin or bago yung actual date ng inquiry, may mga interviews po si Congressman Barbers kung saan nagrereklamo siya di umano sa mga sinasabi ng mga vloggers na fake news daw at ang conclusion niya ay may nagbabayad at ang mga nagbabayad either pogos or narco interests. Kasi tuwing naghihiring daw sa Quadcom, in one interview he says, tuwing naghihiring daw sa Quadcom, may komento daw ang mga vloggers na ito. And so, in the course of that, pati nung nagkaroon ng first hearing. So, first hearing po, nag-decline po kami ng invitation. Gawa nga ng nasa Korte Suprema kami, nagfa-file ng kaso questioning the constitutionality ng proposed legislation nila at yung pagpapatawag sa amin on the ground na it causes a chilling effect. Dahil syempre, kahit sinong vlogger, pag pinatawag mo, or kung vlogger ka, hindi ka pinatawag, pero nakita mo, uy, bakit pinapaharap ang mga ito sa mga kongresista? At dun sa diskusyon in the first inquiry, masama na kaagad ang salita tungkol sa amin. Ako nga pinapadisbar daw. Because I am the lawyer. I am a lawyer who was just one of these vloggers. So, at ang basis nila ay dahil kini-question ko daw ang jurisdiction ng Congress. So, sa isip-isip ko, why would it be a disbarable effect, disbarable act kung magki-question ako ng legalidad ng isang bagay, samantalang trabaho naman talaga ng abogado ang gawain na yon. Gayunpaman, yung isang vlogger tinawag ng pasintabi po sa mga sensitive tungkol sa Safe Spaces Act. Pero tinawag na bakla. So, yun yung niya, bakla ka pala eh. Yun yung term niya sa during the inquiry. Merong isang vlogger, na galit sila kasi nagmumura daw. So, in another way, na parang palatable, na nasabihan din, in using the same words yung vlogger na yun. So, maliwanag that mabigat ang loob nila sa amin. Pero confines yun ng Kongreso, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, covered sila ng immunity nila. Wala kaming problema with that. But Congressman Barbers went on again to other media and talked about pogo vloggers and narco vloggers. During the course of the hearings, maliwanag kung sino yung tinutukoy nila. So, because of that, wala kaming choice. Kung hindi, i-hold siya accountable dun sa mga tinatawag natin na unprotected speech. Yung speech where he can be held liable for what he says, for being violative of the revised penal code's provisions on libel and the Cyber Libel Act, Cyber Libel Law. So yun, basically yun eh. And I understand na he's not very happy about it. So far, ang nag-file, kasi hindi pa tapos lahat. So, ang mga nagfa-file, most of those na tinawag dun sa inquiry, but some of them might be filing in other jurisdictions. So, hindi pa namin alam exact number ng mga nagfa-file.
So, we expect na marami pa.
Dami yan.
Marami bang pinangalanan?
40 kasi yung tinawag.
40 yun, di ba?
Tama. Of the 40 na tinawag, 38 po doon ay pro-Duterte, ang tawag nila, pro-Duterte vloggers. So, hindi naman masyadong halata yung killing dito. So, most of those many of those 37 or 38 are filing cases.
And these, itong nasa 37 are coming from, not only from NCR, others are from Visayas and Mindanao also.
Yes, Northern Luzon.
Oo. So, pwede din sila mag-file doon sa kanilang
well, kung saan nararapat, kasi sa libel, kung saan mo nabasa, kung saan mo nakita yung libelous or narinig yung mga libelous remarks. So, yun yung So, that's interesting about the libel law. Sabi nga ni Chrisette Chu during the press conference, I hope he likes to travel.
I think they do.
Malaki travel fund ng Congress.
Well, all the best, Attorney Trixie.
Thank you.
Those who filed the case. Mayor, baka lang may gusto ka pang idagdag. Although
interesting na kung paano siya nag-arrive sa conclusion na yung mga pinagsasabi niya about the vloggers. Gusto ko rin na makita sa korte para kung ano yung sasagot niya. Kung bakit sinabi niya yun.
Kami din. Interesado din kami.
Sige. Ayun. Tony, balikan ko lang yung petition.
So siguro, kung hindi siya guilty, haharap siya sa korte.
Ano,
Diba?
meron-
Sigurado siya sa sinasabi niya.
oh, yun.
O di,
Meron
balik
din
natin sa
kasi-
kanya. Baka, kung haharap ka sa korte, kung hindi ka guilty.
Correct. Yan. Yun yung iniintay din namin. Kasi because may portion talaga during the trial na magkikita-kita kami doon. So, several times. Kasi yung iba, ang allegation is more than one count. So if let's say, sabihin lang natin halimbawa na 10 kami, pero may tag-aapat na counts per person, marami siyang hinaharap.
Anyway, attorney, nagpapatuloy pa ba yung TRICOM, yung kanilang in aid of legislation? Or natapos na ba yun?
I understand Congress is in recess.
Okay.
So, although normally, nakikita naman natin na sometimes kahit recess, tumutuloy pa rin sila. But right now, they're in recess plus it's elections. Mag-start na yung election period nila in a week or so. Or kung hindi pa nag-uumpisa.
Yes, next week.
Oo.
Next week.
So, malapit na sila.
for
So,
local.
many of them will be with their constituents na.
Ano yan kung matalo sila sa eleksyon? Sino na magta-TRICOM? Paano ba yan? Oo nga, yung members ng TRICOM, so hindi na yung kapatuloy.
Ang nangyayari kasi, because this is the 19th Congress, at the end of the 19th Congress, even these temporary committees, wala na
Will
yan.
be dissolved, correct.
So ulit.
Together with
Kung
all the
sakali.
pending hearings doon.
Oo.
Okay.
Di ba yan nga yung isang issue tungkol sa impeachment?
Correct. Ayan.
Isa pa yan. I think yun yung isang reason kung bakit hini-head off ni Cheese. Kasi pag nag-participate siya dito sa petition ni VP Inday, pag ni-raise yung issue tungkol dun sa kung tatawid ba from the 19th to the 20th Congress ang impeachment, sa Korte Suprema yun idudulog. He would like to settle it within the confines of the Senate. And nagawa na siya ng desisyon. Ang desisyon niya is tatawid siya.
Yeah.
Tama.
Tama. Sinabi niya na yun eh. Sinabi niya na.
Correct. So ayaw niyang umakyat yan sa Supreme Court.
Attorney, yung hinihingan sila ng sagot ng Supreme Court, nalaman, may info ka ba, attorney, kung sumagot na sila dun sa the Supreme Court asked them to respond to your petition?
Ayun sa amin?
Oo.
Wala
May
pa
10
kami
days yata yun
naririnig.
sila, di ba?
Oo, wala pa kami naririnig on that one. The 10 days kasi is counted from the day they received the notice. So, kaya hindi tayo sure kung kailan yung deadline.
Anyway, so yun nga, attorney, all the best, and hintayin natin kung saan pupunta din ang usapin na yan. Before we end the discussion, meron tayong mga netizens comments, Mayor, from our constituents here.
Si Joe. Hindi mo nalata.
Our friend, si Joa de Viv. Sa atin, Joey Mayor, may comment siya. Actually, nag-comment siya dun sa picture. Sa last podcast, Last episode natin, Mayor. Sabi niya, Mayor, balik Alindog program ka na?
Sinabi ko naman yun doon sa New Year's resolution ko, di ba? Yung episode na may New Year's resolution niya.
Workout review.
I want to be healthier this year.
Ayun. Well, diet and workout? Or the workout review?
Eat nutritious food, alam mo yun.
Ayan. Madali dito sa Davao.
Oo.
Yes, Ate Joey, balik Alindog program na. Thank you.
Nang-aasar lang yan eh.
Thank you for watching. Next, Mayor, from Dulce R107. God bless Mayor Baste. Salute you for taking the position of a mayor, young though, and supposed to be enjoying the youth life, but you took the responsibility of being the head of our city at hindi mo binibigo ang iyong kinasasakupan.
Hindi, may mga anak na rin ako. Hindi na ako, I don't see myself as young anymore. Sa totoo lang. Malalaki na rin yung anak ko. My 13 and my 10-year-old.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you, Dulce. Next, from Jesse.
Yeah, but anyway, thank you sa compliment.
From Jesse Camaso, Mayor Baste, ito concern ito sa kanya, Mayor. Mayor Baste, may concern na ako regarding sa comfort room sa Ecoland Bus Terminal. Nabantayan na ako katong nagbiyahe ko diha. Padugkog Manila, baho man anso, ilang CR Mayor, wala pa proper cleaning. Magbutang-utang silang maintenance o albatros to make the air smell good. Concern lang niya ako, Mayor.
Jesse Camaso, ato ng atimanon, pareha sa atong gibuhat yun po dire sa mga previous episodes na to, tanan inyong makita na mga ginaingon na open man may wala may problema ana kung namoy ka ng reklamo, natural na siya. Ang mas na-appreciate nako nga mustorya ka aron mas mapadali ang trabaho po namo. Dili na ang wala na daghang maapektuhan kung na may problema. So pwede ba ikaw na bahala
yes,
mo?
Mayor, we'll act on this. Jesse, paagi na to sa Davao City Reports. We'll update you on this one. Thank you, Mayor Baste. Thank you, Attorney Trixie. Once again, thank you very much for joining us tonight, for flying in sa Davao City. Before we end, Attorney Trixie, maybe you have announcements or message mo sa iyong mga followers.
Thank you very much, Harvey, Mayor, for having me here again. Sana this could happen more often. And I would like to thank primarily, of course, the people of Davao who have always been very, very kind to me. And kahit minsan naglalakad lang ako dyan sa mall or anything like that, people stop and say hi, selfie. But I actually enjoy that, and Davao is one of the best places to be for no reason. And thank you very much for allowing me to come back here. Para dun sa ating mga nanonood, huwag pong kakalimutan, ingat-ingatan at alagaan ang inyong sarili kasi kailangan pa po kayo ng ating bayan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Attorney Trixie. Makabuluhan yung last statement natin. Let's stay healthy. Speaking, Mayor, before kunin yung message mo, Mayor, singit lang ako. Again, we are currently celebrating the 88th Araw ng Davao. We have the entire month na celebration. We have activities lined up for you. Particularly on March 15, the coronation night of Mutya ng Davao. And on March 16, our Parada Davaoenyo. So we look forward to seeing you all there. Baka Attorney Trixie makabalik kayo during the big parade. And speaking of staying healthy, again, we're inviting our fellow Davaoenos sa ating car-free Sundays every Sunday from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. sa Davao City Coastal Road. Mag-jogging ta dito o mag-bike kita ta dito. Matag Domingo. Mayor, before we end, your message to our fellow Davaoenos.
Of course, maraming salamat kay Attorney Trixie. We have a brilliant lawyer here to explain everything to us. So, clap your hands, folks. And thanks for coming to Davao. I know, busy ka, marami kang pwedeng gawin, but you choose to appear in this podcast. So, maganda rin para sa mga followers namin na ma-explain, lalo na yung ngayon na nasa Supreme Court na yung usapan. Yeah, so it's a good thing. Salamat, Harvey. Salamat sa crew. Murag first time na hindi pa salamat. Sorry kayo.
Hindi pa nila sa episode,
Overdue na ako. Salamat din sa inyo. Kalimot. I-greet lang po na ako kung mama, akong papa, akong mga anak, akong mga tanang mga peace-loving citizens of Davao. Mayong adlaw, mayong gabi sa inyong tanan.
Thank you, Mayor. And, of course, gusto din natin batiin na nanonood sila Tio Moreno, sila Ate Joey DeVive, at sila Ibi Hugalbot. Hi sa inyong lahat. At sa lahat ng mga kasama mo, Attorney Trixie. At Pilipinas, maraming salamat sa pagsama muli sa amin sa isang episode ng Basta Davaoenyo. And gusto din po namin batiin ang ating mga kababayang OFW saan man kayong sulok ng mundo. God bless po at ingat po kayo parati. Ang disiplinadong Davaoenyo mahadlokon sa Ginoo. Ang disiplinadong Davaoenyo mo respeto sa balaod ug sa isig katawo, matinahoron, mahigugmaon ug maisog. Basta Davaoenyo.